Finally, the US dollar is selling off a bit, and with some massive CAD data tomorrow, how's that going to position the US CAD? Let's talk about it here at Capital Markets. Traders, welcome back, guys, to Capital Markets. It's your host, Cleveland Bishop. Hope you guys are having an awesome week. Here at Capital Markets, we give you guys the fundamental and the technical analysis every single week. So make sure you guys stay subscribed. And as always, if you guys ever have any questions regarding technicals and, where you potentially might see the euro run or fundamentals, what we think is going to happen when the CPI data comes out, it doesn't matter. Let us know here in the comments section, okay? I'll be right there to answer away. So this week has been pretty interesting. For the past 4 or 5 weeks, we have not seen a sell-off coming in from that US dollar, but this week we finally saw it. Here's a quick screenshot of the 4-hour on the Euro USD. You guys can notice that this week we've seen a massive move higher here on the Euro U. And as you guys can see, the Euro is about to touch back off on the $1.17 highs. Okay, what has happened with the US dollar for it to sell off so dramatically? Well, it didn't come too much from the fundamentals. It actually deals a little bit more with the technicals. Here's a quick screenshot of the dollar index on a monthly time frame. You guys can notice that there is a massive amount of structure here that is really blocking markets. And so we think that most of the market participants that have been buying this US dollar are now liquidating at this high, right? So we're going to need a few more data releases for this US dollar to break outside of that structure if we want to continue higher, because we think that this June rate hike has been fully priced in. Now, the next rate hike that we're going to have for the US dollar is going to be coming in September. That's going to be pretty important, because depending on how high they want to heighten those rates, it's going to depend on how much of an actual move we're going to see on the US dollar, right? So pretty interesting. You guys can see that the US dollar weakness did happen across the board. One of the more major plays that we were talking about last week was the NZD USD. Here's a quick screenshot there of the NZDU on a daily. You guys can see, again, another massive move higher. This comes off the back of also seeing New Zealand dollar strength, okay? So that Kiwi has performed quite well after taking a pretty massive hit overall for the past 2 months. We're going to continue to see if that retracement is going to come all the way back up into structure and potentially hit off on a 50% Fibonacci retracement level. So moving on over to the Canadian dollar, you guys will notice that the Canadian dollar has been very stagnant. Here's a quick screenshot on the daily time frame. You guys will see that markets have not moved for a solid 3 weeks. Now, with the data that's going to be coming out today, we do have the head of the BOC speaking. He's going to have different ideas as to what the Canadian dollar is going to be doing from an economic standpoint. We had some Canadian CPI data that came out as well. This is going to be basically putting markets in a situation that we might see a little bit of extra CAD weakness. Here's a quick 4-hour screenshot. You guys will notice that the Canadian dollar has been weakening. We have been consolidating since the US market has closed, but when markets open back up during the Aussie session and maybe even during the pound session, we may see some of those market participants start to sell that Canadian dollar off. We'll see what happens tomorrow in regards to what the head of the BOC has to say and if that's actually going to be affecting markets, right? And lastly, I do want to touch on some of the US dollar data that came out last Friday. We had an NFP number that came out in very, very dramatic fashion. NFP performed quite well. We had an expected 189,000 jobs added. We ended up getting 223,000, and we also hit a record unemployment rate at 3.8%. We haven't seen those numbers since 2000, and then after 2000, we haven't seen those numbers since 1997, okay? So again, it's very interesting to see that with so much positive data, the US dollar did not move. We think that's because the US dollar has been pricing in all of this positive inflation readings that's been coming out, putting us in a scenario where markets have been very stagnant. So next week, we'll see what happens when it comes to any more data releases. Make sure you guys are here. And as always, folks, please stay subscribed. We love to have you join our channel. And if you guys are looking for a broker, head over to capital-markets.com. We're one of the best brokers in the entire industry. We have some of the tightest spreads, and we route from some of the best liquidity providers, right? That means you're going to get very, very quick execution, and it also means you're going to be saving money on every single position when it comes to the spread, okay? So head over to capital-markets.com. I'm your host, Cleveland Bishop. See you guys next week.